Hello, my darlings. It's Alicia. Now I was I was kind of washing dishes, right? And I was thinking about my past, and I was thinking about my present in that sense. And I see a big difference, right, between my past and my present, in the sense of me as being basically reborn to my new self in that sense, right? With more confidence, with more wisdom, I would say, with more of everything, and especially with this infinite connection, with this infinite divine connection, direct connection with the source, where it's almost like every action, when I make a step forward, every action is basically being supported, being basically, how can I say, it's just being supported on so many levels. So I can see how before I was so shy, I didn't even want to, even though I'm a very social person in that sense, right? I didn't really feel comfortable talking to someone publicly online in that sense. And now I feel like I would say this type of, I would say, the skill or the manner of talking to the public over the video and sharing my thoughts, it's almost becoming my second nature in that sense, right? Even though this is just kind of like the beginning, right? The beginning of the journey, which I feel very empowered about in that sense, right? So all of the doubts, everything that I had as far as programs, when we have programs and conditioning, especially when we are being, I would say, faced with pretty brutal or cruel childhood in that sense, right? When, for example, maybe some of us are being bullied at school, were bullied at school, or some of us are still bullied at school, right? I'm not quite sure what age category are watching my videos. So many of us are going through so much, I would say, cruel and unfair things as a child, as we are children, as we're growing up. Then later it actually comes up in wounds and traumas and psychological traumas in that sense. And this heaviness, it's actually settles within us unless we know how to process it, unless we know how to let go it properly from the consciousness perspective in that sense, because we should always remember that we are I would say, we are spiritual, energetic beings, right? So everything that has to do with our healing, everything that has to do with our understanding of this world, operating within this consciousness, it all has to do with the consciousness itself. So in order for us to operate within the consciousness, we must remember how to do so, because it is already within us, because we carry this information. It's almost like a divine blueprint that is within each soul, right? So each soul remembers, I would say, the heaven on earth. Each soul not specifically remembers in unconscious state in that sense, or even being, as we think we're being conscious. There's many levels of consciousness that we are awakening periodically, I would say, throughout the entire process. I would say the process of growth, the process of expansion, the process of actually, I would say, remembering self in that sense. It's an infinite process, right? Because their new lessons are coming our way every time when we think we shifted from our old ways, that we learned our lessons in that sense. The new experiences come up with the new lessons in our life, and so the expansion is happening infinitely, right? Obviously, there are periods of rest when we are supposed to basically close off, kind of recharge our inner resources, kind of restore this, I would say, the power within ourselves. It's almost like a battery, right? Sometimes we need to recharge ourselves to go forward with a more power, with a more force. And this is our natural state of being. We were not designed constantly go, 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 achieve this, get this, just kind of, we were not designed to perform all the time. And by the way, the rest, being restful and having a great sleep, I would say, and just rest and do nothing. This, I would say, we were programmed against that because it is considered within the modern society, it is considered as being lazy or being unproductive or being a kind of, maybe some people, in nowadays, some people think if someone asks you, oh, what are you doing? You say nothing, right? Oh, I do nothing. I'm just chilling in that sense. Some people think they might have an idea that something is wrong with you. Maybe you're depressed. Maybe you're going through some, I don't know, maybe you're going through some heavy things that you are processing at that time, and maybe that is true, but in majority of the time, what I've learned through the spiritual awakening and development is that being restful and resting well, in that sense, resting well is without guilt, right? Without guilt, without feeling guilty that if we're resting, if, for example, if we're laying on the sofa and doing absolutely nothing, then we are, I would say, maybe, how can I say, maybe we're not being productive. Maybe we're being stuck. See how I got stuck at this point. So many of us think maybe it's kind of like a slowdown, which is not for our benefit. However, with the spiritual awakening and spiritual development, I understood that rest is very, very productive. So it's very important for us to take the time and basically process everything that is happening within us. And so without processing properly the emotions, the situations, the lessons that we go through, we will end up with those wounds and traumas and I would say the heaviness within our heart, which basically holds us back from our further expansion in that sense. And we feel very stuck in life. And in many cases, many of us are disregarding the voice of our body in that sense, right? Our body gets so tired. We perform constantly. Guys, come on, if you remember yourself, like I remember myself, since the kindergarten, right? In kindergarten, we go to, like, we're supposed to wake up with alarm clock, and we're supposed to go to kindergarten and do some activities within the kindergarten, and then school, and then college, and then university, and then we're at our jobs, and we're in our, let's say, mid 40s or 50s now, right? And we are constantly like going without actually providing ourselves the space to process those emotions and feelings that we sometimes experience, those pains that sometimes we, let's say, experience in this life, right? These heartbreaks, those pains, those type of, I would say, harshness that we go through some of us go through harshness every day, right? And so as we go, and we don't allow ourselves to really rest, we're kind of neglecting ourselves. We're neglecting our expansion. We're neglecting our growth. We're neglecting the highest potential that we are. And so what I was talking about is that basically with the spiritual expansion and spiritual development, I've learned how to basically rest properly, rest without feeling guilty, rest without I would say feeling lazy. Well, feeling lazy, lazy is, I would say, it's underrated in that sense. Being lazy is actually is a good thing in the from the consciousness perspective, because when we hold this space for ourselves by doing nothing and basically without the external noise, we process and we basically that's when we are alone with the source in that sense. It's our thoughts. It's basically the divine downloads start to come in. Their clarity comes in that sense, right? We establish, I would say, stronger stronger connection with the source, right? And so with this stronger connection with the source, what allows us to do is to perform or to being now productive with the bursts of the energy that is sent to us when our body is, let's say, fully rested. And many of us who are in our, let's say, mid 20s, mid 30s, I would say from mid 20s to, until like 100 years or so. So we require that rest. Our body requires that rest in that sense, right? And we've been performing so hard in life that many of us are feeling exhausted. Many of us are feeling really, really exhausted. And we just basically wearing off the body. Right now, I see the analogy of let's say the horses. They're typically people ride in the parks, or animals that people ride in tourist attractions like donkeys or elephants in that sense. So poor animals, right? So we inflict this exploitation on animals, where animals are going without rest, without appropriate rest, without freedom in that sense. We inflict this exploitation. I say we because we're all one, right? Even though I understand that some individuals, many individuals don't support animal suffering in that sense, consciously do not support animal suffering. And many of us still do so in unconscious ways of life. And many of us just don't care, right? We're just so busy in our lives that we don't really care what is happening, let's say, with the animal kingdom in that sense. And so as we push and animals to this exploitation, and we limit animals of their freedoms in that sense, and when we start basically looking at the animals as a profit, right? So those horses in the parks, right? Those horse carriages, those donkeys, those elephants, any type of animal that is being, I would say, what's the appropriate word? Subdued? I'm not quite sure. So we're making that animal to perform something basically against their will to earn for us a profit, right? So to earn for us a living by having this kind of mindset that we own this animal, that we own this living being, that basically cannot speak for itself, right? Because they are speaking. Again, the animals are speaking. The animals are screaming. We just cannot. We just cannot hear them, right? Because we're so detached from ourselves and everything around us. We're so detached from the natural world around us that it's just we just can't hear what they're saying, right? And so we are looking at animals as their objects, as they're basically objects of consumerism and production in that sense. So as we push this exploitation, as humanity pushes this exploitation on animals, and kind of overworking the animals, when we are neglecting their freedoms, there is a direct correlation, there is a direct link that is happening with us as well. So many of us are kind of those units of production for the system, right? Many of us don't have a life, even though many of us might have a luxury house and a luxury car, and we might live in a prestigious neighborhood in that sense. But if we're looking at the core of the life, many of us are being basically enslaved by that system, basically working. Many of us, like doctors, attorneys, right? Like really like white collar professions in that sense, working crazy hours, 50 hours, 60 hours, 70 hours per week, right? So when we are neglecting our lives, neglecting our, I would say, loved ones, we're neglecting ourselves in this condition. So we're basically just like we are exploiting and causing this exploitation on the animal kingdom, we are so basically we become subjects of that exploitation ourselves. So you see how everything is connected and everything is interconnected. And guys, I told you before, so everything is interconnected more than we think, right? More than we think. And so as we take away the freedoms of the animal kingdom, the most vulnerable, I would say, part of ourselves, we're taking that freedom from them, that freedom of their choice in that sense. We're treating them as subjects. We're treating them as units of productions. We become those units of productions ourselves. We become enslaved by the system. We become, I would say, exploited and basically taken advantage of by the big corporations, right? So there's a direct link in everything, right? And that World Peace Diet book, the World Peace Diet book that I was talking about in my last speech, I would say, I started reading this book after this channeled information started coming through. And I'm reading through the pages, specifically from page 60 to 65. If you guys right now don't want to read the whole entire book, but if you select the pages from 60 to 65, just read those pages and kind of see how the book actually goes into the description of how everything is connected and how everything is interconnected. So whatever we are doing to the animal kingdom, it is projected back at us, right? So we become enslaved by the system. We become enslaved by this I would say, yeah, kind of like we are stuck in this rat race. Exactly that, right? So if we inflict that suffering on other living beings, we are suffering. And many of us may think, oh, we live in a good neighborhood, we live in a luxury home, we have everything that we need. However, guys, all of those are basically material possessions. All of those are kind of illusory constructs in that sense. Yes, it's very nice to live in a really nice house in a really nice neighborhood and basically making sure that your kids are going to really good school. However, if you're working 70 hours per week, and for example, if you on the weekends and after even 5 p.m., after your work hours, you are at home and you are on your computer while your kids are growing up, while your kids are doing first steps or saying the first words in that sense. So whatever is being missed by attending this kind of corporate enslavement, it's basically is very, very precious what we miss. So we're kind of exchanging this, I would say, the desire for material possessions in that sense by being stuck and being overworked at our corporate environment. Even business owners, right? Many of us think if we opened our business, we're kind of like out of the rat race, we're kind of working on ourselves. But guys, I know how business owners are working. There's so much responsibility, there's so much to handle in that sense. Business owners are being overworked as well. So by being a business owner, it doesn't mean you can just like chill out in that sense, right? And do absolutely nothing. Many business owners are overworking even harder than some people in corporations in that sense. But yeah, big corporations, they don't have our best interests, but this is all the projections of basically those are reflections of our collective projections, right? So whatever we do to animal kingdom, it is manifesting within our life. We're basically locked in small cubicles. If we place, I would say, if we place animals in small cages and small boxes, all of us are being also kind of, we are placing ourselves in small cages and small boxes in the form of kind of very teeny tiny apartments in the big, I would say, cities. We are placing ourselves in cubicles. We're placing ourselves in kind of office boxes. I call them office boxes. Some offices, I know in my office, some offices didn't even have windows, right? It had all these LED lighting and whatnot. And so you kind of sit there with this LED lighting on the middle of the day for majority of your day. So you come to work when sun just basically rised, right? And you are sitting there during all your basically blissful hours of the day when sun is shining, when birds are chirping, when there is so much nature outside, there's so much beauty and majesty around us in that sense, right? And when our kids are playing, let's say, in the park or when they're making first steps, we are there at the desk, right? Like slaving our lives away to make sure we're providing for our family. But many of us providing for the family beyond our needs, to be honest, right? And many of us want to kind of, I would say, what is the movie? There was Keeping Up with the Joneses, right? Keeping Up with the Joneses. And so this constant gratification towards this constant, I would say, gratification towards material wealth in that regard, those are just illusions, right? So we're basically what we're trading this precious time with our loved ones for the money to buy maybe a bigger vehicle, to buy maybe a bigger house, maybe to buy a better purse, which, by the way, many of us are buying I would say, the products that are also based on animal, basically derived from animal suffering and animal exploitation. Those, I would say, those bags and those brand name shoes in that sense, right? I'm not a saint myself, right? I purchased my vehicle, my current vehicle, I purchased in 2016. And at that time, I purchased a vehicle with interior leather seats because I thought, oh, it's going to be very practical for me to ride in this vehicle because, with the leather seats, because if something is spilled, I can just wipe it off without really thinking about what I'm unconsciously participating, right? I'm unconsciously participating in, I would say, using the skin of another living being that was basically tortured, exploited, and killed for maybe at first the cows are used like milking cows. They're used for milk, right? And then after their production goes down, guess what? The cows don't retire. They just basically get murdered, get sent to the slaughterhouse to produce meat. And those skins in many, I would say, many countries are using not just cows for the leather, right? Some third world countries, they use our favorite pets, our dogs and our cats and our let's say you guys you guys love your dogs, you guys love your cats, all of us love our pets in that sense. But for some reason our I would say perception, our conditioning and programming allows us to separate the pets, the animals, for the ones that we love and for the ones that we love to eat, right? So I'm not saint myself. I purchased a vehicle in 2016 that had that leather interior, which now I would never buy right now a vehicle that has a leather interior, because I know this is a skin of the animal that basically got tortured, got used, abused, and got slaughtered in that sense, right? Unfortunately, I don't have the financial needs right now to exchange the vehicle. As I shared my story, my first story on this personal vlog, I don't have the means to basically financially to change the vehicle right now. I had this car for over 10 years now, right? 10 years. And so it's been a great car, by the way. However, if I have a choice right now with the things that I know now, that I realize now, right? I knew that before, that using the skin, the skin of the animals is not that great. But I thought, well, at that point in 2016, I thought, well, the cows are dying anyway, right? This animal is dying anyway, so they're using basically the part of the animal to create leather, leather seats or leather furniture, leather bags, leather jackets, leather shoes. In that sense, even at that point, I started more going away from the leather products. In that sense, I still unconsciously purchased that vehicle, and we, all of us, I would say 90, I don't know what's the statistics, like maybe 90 or 80% were born as a meat eaters. However, this is a school of life, and within this school of life, one of the main purposes of ours is to be awakened, to the first of all, to this power that we have within ourselves, this connection, this infinite connection with the source. In that sense, right? Just establish this connection consciously and surrender to this highest power. In that sense, because it is highest power, this is the highest intelligence there is, and it's going through each basically the smallest particle of our being, right? So when we don't resist, when we surrender to the source, it brings us to places through that expansion, through basically elimination kind of removal of those illusory constructs, those programming, that we can remember who we truly are. And truly we are that unconditional love within ourselves, right? And so it's the matter of us remembering who we truly are. And as soon as we remember who we are, we start actually living from that place of unconditional love within our heart. We start living with more compassion and peace within our heart. And obviously, we are not perfect, right? So we're perfect with our imperfections. In that sense, right? We're still going to go through life and realize some things. I'm pretty sure, like maybe a couple of years from now, even a year from now, I will be looking back at my current self, and I will say, oh my gosh, I was, I still had ways to go to get to that level where I would be, let's say, in 2 years. In that sense, right? But I'm telling you, so the system's goal is to make us we're making it ourselves, right? We're basically creating it ourselves. Our projections are materializing every present moment. So our every present moment projections, they are materializing in this reality, but they are materializing with a delay, right? So before something is basically created, even let's say this remote for this phone, right? Anything before it gets created, guys, it's basically there is an idea. So it's created in non-physical reality first. So their idea comes in and it's channeled. Again, none of this is coming from just within us. In that sense, it's coming from within us, but it's all channeled. Every idea that comes our way, it is channeled in that sense. And this is where the power comes in. Either we act on this idea or we don't. And it's in our, I would say, the more conscious we become, the more it is easier for us to basically determine if this idea comes from, let's say, it is being channeled. However, it can be distorted by those type of heaviness within our heart that we didn't process. So the infinite consciousness, infinite intelligence, it channels through our system every present moment. However, if our vessel is not as clear, if our vessel is basically cluttered, right, with those unprocessed feelings and emotions and unprocessed traumas and whatnot, we channel that source with big distortion sometimes. So it becomes, look at this kind of like a signal, kind of like a wave, right? And if we are vibrating on the heavy vibrational frequency, so the wave of the creator, the light comes in. But if we are within ourselves, we didn't let go this heaviness within our heart. If we are operating from the illusory construct, what happens is that when this light comes through this, I would say, unregulated system in that sense, right? Uncleared vessel, that light becomes distorted. So it comes in with distortion. So it doesn't come as it was previously, I would say, initially intended, right? But it comes with a distortion. So the light becomes, our creations become distorted. So in order for us to elevate our creations, we must clear our vessel. Again, it all starts with us. It all starts with us, guys. How everything here is connected and interconnected, right? So in order for us to create, first of all, in order for us to I would say, start channeling that wisdom, that light, we must establish this direct connection with the source, right? When connection with the source established and we surrender to this source energy in that sense, right? The infinite consciousness, infinite intelligence, it's basically starts guiding us, starts healing our soul in that sense. It helps us to release all these traumas and wounds and unprocessed traumas, anything that is heavy within our heart. It basically helps us to release that heaviness from our vessel, that we become a clearer channel for that light to come through, that we become the most truthful, the most authentic, the most, I would say, the most loving vessel out there. And so that's what's been happening with me for the last 3 years. So I've been just kind of in this surrender state where I was allowing the source, and I am currently also allowing the source basically to clear my vessel without I would say, going against the flow. That's where the natural flow comes in. So when we surrender, we must surrender. If we want to be healed, if we want to be basically released of those type of distortions, we must surrender to this infinite consciousness, infinite intelligence, because only through surrender, this infinite mind is going to help us to clear out our vessel, right? Clear out our vessel. And as soon as vessel is cleared, and it's a process, guys, it's a gradual process. Nothing is happening right away in that sense, right? But as soon as vessel becomes clear, the more our vessel becomes clear and clear and clear and clear, right? The clearer this light is coming through. So we don't vibrate on this heavy vibrational frequency anymore, right? We're kind of our nervous system becomes regulated in that sense. We're not like this, right? Very distorted. And we're actually when we have this heaviness within our heart, and when our system, whole energetic system of our being vibrates at this heavy vibrational frequency, and since we are basically, I would say, our cells, right? Our cell structures, they basically contain, I forgot what's the right percentage was, but I think it's more than 80%. We consist of water, right? Guess what? That vibration at the heavy vibrational frequency, it's being basically, we are vibrating at this frequency at all times with distortions. Guess what happens? Our cell structure gets distorted. When the cell structures get distorted, that's when our organs, so there is distortions within the operation of our organ systems, right? There is a distortion within operation of our organism. There is a distortion of operation of our being at whole, and that's when the light cannot come in through us without any distortion. So that's when it gets distorted, and that's when our creations are not at the higher level of awareness. That's why I'm saying that not all channeling is created equal in that sense. It highly depends on it depends on so many factors. It's such an individual, I would say, we're each very individual channel, right? So it depends on our mission in life. It depends on our born gifts and talents. It depends on our experiences that we acquired through this life. It depends on our skills that we acquired through this life as well. It depends on our personality traits, on our character. It depends on, I would say, on on our emotional, psychological traumas and wounds and whatnot. So it depends on the state of awareness and level of consciousness and the clarity of our vessel, how the source channels through us and what we create, what our creations look like, right? So if we're constantly basically vibrate at this heavy vibrational frequency, then the light of the source also vibrates through us, goes through us with those distortions. And that's when you get the channelers who actually channel the source on the lower level of consciousness. They will channel that source. They might think that they're channeling individual entities because their consciousness basically at which they channel, at this lower level of consciousness at which they channel, they fragment that source. So even though it's unity, when it goes into the lower level of consciousness, it's basically being fragmented by our level of awareness of our consciousness, right? And it's, as I told you previously, it's basically like a layered cake in that sense. There is a lower level of consciousness at which we vibrate. If we vibrate on the heavy vibrational frequency, we are positioned within the energetic realm, right? We are positioned at the lower level of consciousness in that sense. And so when we are positioned on the lower level of consciousness, our reality basically starts manifesting situations and things and people and everything based on that lower level of consciousness. That's when we are actually, I would say, suffer the most. That's when we are basically experience pain the most, when we don't have clarity. So the lower the level of consciousness, the less clarity that we have. And so many of us who are now unconsciously, I would say, supporting the animal slaughter in that sense, the animal exploitation, the pain of the innocent sentient beings, we are located at this lower level of consciousness. So our heart is closed. We don't have the clarity, right? We see each other as separate in that sense because we're operating within the lower level of consciousness, because we have not processed any wounds or traumas or anything else within our system. We did not establish this direct connection with the source to make sure we are being healed in that sense, to allow this magnificent energy, this source energy to heal us, to basically help us to release that heaviness from our heart, that we can basically position ourselves, that we can expand, right? That's what expansion is. Expansion is of us. It can happen also, it basically depends on many factors in that sense. But when we clear out our vessel in that sense, we clear the illusions. And when we clear the illusions, we basically can see clear everything else. We are closer to the truth. We become closer to the truth. The more we let go, the more closer to the truth we are. And as we keep mentioning through my video, I would say transmissions, that truth is love. The truth is unconditional love. Everything else is an illusion, right? So the more we let go of those heaviness from our heart, the more we allow the source to heal our soul in that sense, right? The more we start shifting through the levels of consciousness, through the levels of awareness, the more we start projecting basically more love, more peace, more unity, more community in that sense, right? And the more we see that basically consuming meat, consuming animal products, this is our, I would say, this is holding us back. This is kind of the behavior of the lower awareness beings in that sense, right? This is the sign for I would say, this is a sign to basically demonstrate to us that people, some of us, many of us who are basically still in that type of exploitation and consumerism of the animal products, we are those energetic beings, that unconditional love in that sense, that is so heavy it's weighted down by those illusions and programming and conditioning, that we cannot basically expand to the higher level of consciousness, to the higher level of awareness, unless we clear our vessel, unless we allow, unless we surrender to the source and basically clear that vessel in that sense, right? And so, okay, guys, I think it's this is it for today. This subject is going to be basically expanding more and more. Again, this is just the beginning. We're just starting our journey. So everything is connected and everything is interconnected in this reality, more than we can imagine, more than we can see right now, more than we can sense right now, right? And so the more we drop those illusions, the more we drop those conditioning, the more we start shifting through this level of consciousness, the more clarity we start gaining, the more we actually look at those illusions and we can see where those manipulations and programming and conditioning are, right? And the more we start shifting ourselves, so every step through healing, basically through letting go of this heaviness, right, it brings us more to the unconditional love, which means it brings us more closer to the source, to this divine energy source, right? Because source operates on this level of consciousness of unconditional love. So the more we start shedding those illusions, the more so our connection with the source, it strengthens, right? It deepens in that sense. We become kind of one with this, right? So we feel all the processes on very, very kind of profound, deep level. Our worry goes away, our depressions go away, our I would say suffering goes away, our reactions, being reactive on some things goes away. We start being more, our nervous system becomes more regulated. We're looking, even though we see the pain and suffering of other living beings, or we are going through major stress within our life, right? We're still reacting. We're not reacting, we're observing basically, but we are reacting with more love. We're reacting with more wisdom within our heart. We're reacting with more, I would say, peace and compassion for all living beings without discrimination in that sense, right? Because all is one and all is self in that sense, right? And so it's very, very important, guys, to establish this direct connection with the source. And that's what system doesn't want us to do. That's what the system is designed. We projected and we designed the system not to basically create those obstacles for us to connect with the infinite consciousness within, because it's known within the system, as soon as we connect with the source, as soon as we establish this direct connection with this the infinite consciousness, infinite intelligence, which is unconditional love, right, at every present moment right now. And I will tell you why it is so, why infinite consciousness right now at the I would say the present moment development, it is unconditional love. I think this might be a subject for, it's a subject for a different video, because it's going to take me a little, so it's not a short, I would say, explanation, because I can't just explain something within 5 minutes. It's such a deeper concept, is that basically through, I will tell you in short right now, kind of like an introduction to my next video. I'm not quite sure at what video this subject will be basically being expanded or uncovered. So infinite consciousness, infinite intelligence, it's existing infinitely, right? So it's always existed, it will always be here. It's basically, it's infinity itself, right? And so it's experiencing this world through every smallest particle of every living being, every living thing in that sense, right? So it's basically experiences this world on infinitely dimensional I would say, systems or structures in that sense, right? And so why is this unconditional love at this present moment? Is because through all these combinations of experiencing itself, through those infinitely, I would say, infinitely existing combinations, the unconditional love, all is one. Unconditional love, all is one. Every time when infinite consciousness experiences itself through all these levels, through all of this, infinitely layered consciousness, every time unconditional love is a winning. I would say, I almost wanted to say a winning horse, a winning horse, but this is kind of not the appropriate word for it, because even the races that are happening around all over the world, especially in San Diego right now, right? Many of us are participating and unconsciously supporting this exploitation of the living beings. So we start changing this world by removing our participation in that exploitation of the innocent, living, sentient beings, right? And so, okay, guys, on this kind of not such short, I would say, video transmission, I am, I think, basically, there's so much to discuss. There's so many things to discuss. There's so many concepts to go into, like in-depth concepts that are going to continue being basically transmitted through these video transmissions in that sense, right? And again, this is just the beginning. I feel that I can't even express it by words, but I feel that support. I feel this power. I feel this power like I never experienced before in my life. As I told you previously, I shared with you that I was, there were some things in the past that basically reflected on my self-confidence. But now, since that direct connection with the source was established, right, it basically deepens as we continue going through the healing and clearing out the illusions and clearing out the programming and the heaviness within my heart in that sense, right? I would say, the more power I feel within myself now. So before, I didn't know what it meant to actually discover the inner power within. Now I think I'm coming into this concept. Now I am understanding what it actually means. It means when we connect directly with the source, when we surrender to this infinite consciousness, infinite intelligence, when we allow this infinite mind to heal our soul, we become so, like, this bond gets strengthened, right? This bond gets so strong. This bond gets so, I would say, so powerful. Then we feel with every action, with every step that we take, that we are hugely supported, that we are hugely empowered through every step, because we now acting not as just kind of, oh, I'm this powerless human. I cannot change things. I cannot really change the system. I cannot influence others. I just better be quiet and not to, like, I better stop talking and not expressing myself. No, this is completely the opposite, guys. Whatever is happening right now, basically, it almost feels I'm stepping in. We are stepping in our, I would say, authentic power in that sense, how we meant to be by the divine design. It's the matter of us actually, again, it's the matter of us breaking off this matrix of those illusions that we were born into, connect directly with the source, surrender to the source, and allow the source to heal our soul and bring us where we need to go by the infinite consciousness design. Because we are on the lower level of consciousness. Many of us are dreaming the dreams. Many of us are thinking what we would want want to do. And I'm telling you, when we connect directly with the source, we can't even imagine. We can't even imagine on the lower level of consciousness at which we operate at first, where this is going to take us. So that's why I decided to basically create this personal vlog, because I would say the events right now, they will start basically happening. Guys, we are going to do some major great things, because I feel this power within myself, because I know I'm being emotional right now. I'm being very emotional right now, but I feel first time in my life that I have that this powerful force, that this powerful source is got my back. It's got my back. It's basically loves us unconditionally. It loves us so much. It loves us so much. We can't even, some of us are like so blind. I was blind myself. I didn't know that I was supported, that I was actually guided, that I was loved so much through my entire lifetime in that sense. And now I awaken to this. I awaken to this power within. It's when we are actually with the source, we are creating as unified organism, very powerful organism, right? And we feel supported, and we feel so loved, and we feel so, powerful. Like every step, every action, everything that we do, it becomes so powerful, because we know there is nowhere else to fall but in the arms of the infinite consciousness, of the arms of, some people call God, right? There is nowhere to fall but to these loving arms of this infinite power that has been all this there, but we are so blind. We're so blind due to I would say the environment that we were born into, and many of us don't kind of are blind to this unconditional love that is available to us at every present moment, right? So powerful things are underway, and I'm being very emotional, and this is not even, this is almost like nothing. It's nothing compared to what I truly feel within myself, what truly I awaken to. I feel this love, I feel this unconditional love. I feel this support. I feel this power that is basically just being awakened in that sense. This is just humble beginnings. I'm telling you guys, when we establish this direct connection, there is no limit. There is no limit to our creative potential. There's no limit. There is no limit to what we can do. There is no limit to our, I would say, creativity. There is no limit how many lives we can influence and to how many lives we can help, right? So my dream, it's kind of, in one of the videos I was telling you my dream, but I told you our dream is not static, because it's going to transform and it's going to change as we expand our consciousness, as we expand our awareness. So with all of this that has been happening with me in the last, I would say, this even the last couple of weeks, right? Since infinite consciousness, infinite intelligence started bringing me to see all this animal suffering and animal basically slaughter, right? Right now, my dream, it's transformed into my dream is to close off all the freaking slaughterhouses. This is my dream. And the more of us dream such dream that animal living beings would not suffer, this dream is possible. Nothing is impossible with the infinite consciousness, infinite intelligence. When we start to create, when it starts to really create through our clear vessel, there is nothing impossible. So my dream is to end this animal suffering, right? And of course, maybe, just maybe, I don't know. I don't want to even put this into the universe. We will do our best, and infinite consciousness, infinite intelligence will guide me in a direction where this is going to actually start happening, that's one of my dreams. I would love for all of the slaughterhouses to be closed once for all of the farms to be converted into the animal sanctuaries, loving animal sanctuaries with huge biodiversity and agriculture, and with harmony and balance with the nature and the natural world, in that sense that everyone benefits when we live from this concept of agroforestry and biodiversity, and when we stop basically slaughtering innocent living beings. Everyone benefits, guys, everyone. There is not even one person who is not going to benefit from this heaven on earth, basically building the heaven on earth. So the concentration right now of my energy, of our energy, is for those living beings, in that sense, because this is the first step towards our liberation as well. Many of us feel that we are stuck. Many of us feel like we are imprisoned. Many of us feel like we are slaves, kind of drowning in those bills, in those type of obligations and responsibilities and everything else. And many of us don't see the way out. But here is the way out, right? So we have to change our behavior, how we treat innocent living beings, most vulnerable creatures on this earth. But before doing so, we must basically being aware that something horribly wrong is going on this earth at this present moment. We're basically bringing the darkness to light, and we're allowing this basically experience to fuel our I would say our journey. So my dream has changed right now, right? My dream is to close all of the slaughterhouses again. Guys, I'm being redundant, but I want to make it very, very, I'm speaking it out into the consciousness. So for all slaughterhouses to be closed once for all of the animals to be free, and not being afraid of the human race, basically living freely and not being I would say scared of us, right? And turn all the farms, milk farms, meat farms, into animal sanctuaries. And obviously reforestation, right? Cleaning out the pollution in the air, in the water, in the basically in soil, from microplastics as well. They're going to be, as soon as our consciousness is actually will rise, as soon as humanity will awaken, in that sense, there are going to be new technologies present within our reality that will allow us to basically clean the air, the water. I mean, cleaning the air, we just need to how can I say, implement reforestation, right? We just need to start basically be conscious as well what we're projecting into this consciousness as well. We will be uncovering those subjects in the future, but we are using those pollutants ourselves. Those are the aerosol deodorants, right? Those are the many of us are smokers. I've been smoker myself, and I'll tell you all about it, right? I've been smoking for years, right? And so regular cigarettes and marijuana as well. So I've been smoking pot for quite some time as well, and we're just basically doing it to ourselves within our life. So if we make personal choices away from those toxic materials, these laundry detergents, right? Kind of whatever make our water toxic, those cleaners, abrasive cleaners and everything else, I would say the sprays against the insects, the Roundup, which is on the shelves of our stores, right? When we start making those personal choices through the cleaner, more loving, more peaceful, more, I would say, toxin and cruelty-free lifestyles, we will shift this reality. So there are going to be some technologies invented, I think, to clean the soil and water from microplastics, right, and regenerate those type of ecosystems in that sense. But it is going to start now. It is already starting with awareness, with the collective awareness and the awakening of the masses of the humanity right now. So veganism, even though maybe many of you are opposed of the veganism, but veganism is our natural way, guys. It's our natural way. So we're returning to our natural ways. So the future is vegan, if you like it or not. Maybe it's not going to happen during our lifetime in that sense, but the future of this earth is vegan because it's our natural way of life, and we are returning back where humanity is remembering that humanity is that unconditional love that is materialized in the physical vessel. So we are awakening to back to unconditional love, right? Whatever is available to us every present moment, but we're so blind to see it. Many of us are so blind to see it because we operate within this lower level of consciousness, where many of us don't even believe in source, right? Many of us don't believe that source actually exists, right? And I don't know. So there are many illusions within this level of consciousness that divides us, that basically places all these separations. But we are doing it to ourselves. It's not the system. It's we are who are the projectors of this basically reality. And I was telling you, so even so when we make a projection, before something comes into the existence, it must come up into a projection into, I would say, in non-physical reality. So it might be an idea, right? So for example, if someone decided to, okay, we need the remote control for this telephone. Okay, so first comes the idea, right? Idea is channeled from the source. It depends on the clarity of the vessel and all other factors that I was discussing earlier in this video. So we need the remote for the phone to basically to operate, right? So idea comes in. Then there is going to be a design which is going to be placed on paper. So now we have this, I would say, live materialization of this non-physical concept into physical form in that sense, right? And then from this, I would say, design and the business plan and kind of a selection of the materials and everything else, here comes the actual, I would say, product. But before product is being produced, and there are many steps that need to be taken in order for this remote to basically exist in this reality, right? So it always starts with a channeled information, channeled idea in that sense. And so that's how our projections work as well. They basically, if we project something, it doesn't, so even though we project it every present moment, it doesn't materialize within our reality right away. It's basically materializes within our reality later, kind of the process. It's kind of like a creation of this remote. So the projections becomes a materialization within the reality only within a certain period of time. And this period of time can be different. It depends also on many factors, right? So even though some of us think whatever we project right now by consciously or unconsciously participating in animal suffering and animal exploitation, so the gratification of this, the materialization of that projection, it doesn't come into the reality, to our reality right away. It's actually the process needs some time to develop and then manifest in our reality. So it might be months, it might be even, I don't know, years, no, not years, but maybe months, I would say. And many of us don't even know when something happens within our life, when we're suffering, when something really, I would say, when sickness, let's say, comes into our family, or something bad happens within our family. God forbid, of course, right? But it's very intelligent system. As I told you, whatever we project, it comes back to us. So those projections require some time to manifest within our life. So when things like this happen, start happening within our life, all this suffering, all this type of, I would say, all this, I don't know, different things, pains and illnesses and some accidents and some incidents and some, I would say, many undesirable situations that are happening in our life in that sense, that lead to suffering, that lead to pain, that lead to basically of us being in that state of, I don't know, despair, I would say, right? Many of us don't see the link, because that manifestation took a while to actually manifest within the reality. But the choice that we made, it was maybe 2 or 3, 4, 5 months, before that incident took place within our life. So guys, if you don't believe that every action basically has a kind of it's a cause and effect. So we caused something, let's say at the present, it's going to have an effect in the future. It's with everything what we do within this reality. Okay, so anyway. So that's why our creations as well, my dreams, right? Whatever I'm speaking right now, those are infinite consciousness dreams as well for us, because infinite consciousness, it's an unconditional love for us, for its creation. So of course it wants us to be happy and to be loved and to prosper and to create and free ourselves from this corporate enslavement, to free ourselves from those type of cages and everything else, right? From those illusions. Of course it's going to actually try to do its best to lead us, not try to do its best, it's almost like it will do its best to lead us in the directions that is for our highest and best. Because when infinite consciousness, infinite intelligence, let's say, it is channeled through each individual vessel, how it works is that it's going to pursue this vessel's interests in that sense, right? Since direct connection with the source established, it's going to basically pursue this channel's interests, but not in detriment to others, right? So it's going to, it's almost how information comes in. It's for your highest and best and for the spiritual benefit of all beings, right? So when we directly connect with the source, it will pursue our interest through this direct connection, but for the benefit of all as well. And maybe some people are not going to like it when you when we create this direct connection with the source, because there's going to be a natural pull for us to go into this intentional incubation and basically go through the healing process and basically incubate ourselves for a while, sometimes maybe neglecting some of the relationships in our life. But those relationships, I'm telling you, if those relationships are being neglected, this is for the highest and best of both of those relationships. So it's a mutual benefit for both. It's never one-sided. It's never one-sided. It's never, with infinite consciousness, it's never one-sided. It's always for your benefits and for the benefit of all. So if this direct connection with the source, let's say you who is watching this video, if you establish this direct connection with the source and source starts to guide you, it will show you kind of unauthentic people in your life. It will show you where your energy is spent for, let's say, in detriment. It will guide you from dangerous situation for you. So it's going to pursue, it's almost like you are in this cocoon of unconditional love. You're walking with this power behind your shoulders in that sense. You're kind of behind this powerful wall wall that always protects you in that sense, right? So that's when all the worries disappear. That's when depression disappears. That's when actually everything disappears, worry and concerns and anything else, because you are in the loving hands of this source. So it's going to protect you in that sense, right? And of course, if another person establishes this direct connection with the source, that person is going to be, so the source that is channeled through that through that person, it's going to protect their interest in that sense, pursue their interest, but it's never one-sided. It's your interest, it's my interest, but it's also for the benefit of all in that sense, right? So it's going to make sure that we are, how can I say, wholesome within ourselves, and it's basically our actions, our creations, our I would say everything, it's going to be for the benefit of the society, just like the discoveries of the scientists, just like the provided technology that is provided to us for our benefit, right? So through the clear vessel, it's always for the benefit, it's always for the the collective benefit in that sense as well, but not neglecting the needs of that individual vessel in that sense, because if that vessel is not happy, guess what, creations are not going to be happy as well. So it all works out in connection, in love, in everything else. I mean, it's a beautiful journey to be awakened to, right? So I guys highly recommend for you, since I awakened, I highly recommend for you to establish this direct connection, and surrender to it unconditionally. Surrender to it with all of your heart, all of your don't fear, right? Don't have the fear. You might lose some relationships, right? You might change the place of where you live. You might lose your I would say your career or your job or your business, or the things that you were so attached to or so used to. You might lose many of those things through this journey. But again, it's not because those things are no longer serving your highest and best. And those things are actually, the source is going to free you from things that are not for your highest and best. Because remember, source, when it channels through your vessel, it looks after your interests at first, and then on the collective as well. It's always a mutual benefit in that sense, right? So that's why when we directly connect, when we start, basically, when we clear our vessel, when we start channeling the source on the higher level of awareness, on the higher level of consciousness, that's when our creations become very, very powerful, because we step into this personal power. And personal power, now I know what it means. And now I know what it means, discover the power within. Now I know that it means that when we discover that power within, we're basically acting, creating, living our life, stepping every step of our way with the source holding us, basically nurturing us, kind of caring us in that sense, loving us unconditionally, never judging, right? I just, guys, wanted to let you know this infinite consciousness source, since it's unconditional love, it never judges, but it can be a strict teacher. It can be a very strict teacher to make sure that we learn our lessons, but it never judges our choices in that sense, because it teaches us, choose wisely, choose consciously, because every choice, there is a repercussion to your choice. It's either towards more love or towards more the opposite direction, right? Towards more love or away from love in that sense, right? So it knows that we are ourselves basically creating our reality, right? So everything, it's about our projections, what we are projecting. But in order for us to project something on the higher level of consciousness, in that sense, on the higher level of awareness, we must clear our vessel. We must place our energy system, in that sense, at that level of consciousness at which we would like to basically create the higher awareness, I would say, the higher creations of the higher awareness. That's when our creations become very, very, very powerful. It's just like this ancient architecture, right, that I was telling you about in one of my talks, dinner talks, right? It's the ancient architecture. So it's creations on the higher level of awareness. It's a highest, I would say, it's a very sophisticated, high systems that will accomplish the goal that needs to be accomplished in very creative, sophisticated, very, I would say, innovative ways that otherwise you wouldn't accomplish unless you directly connected with the source, unless you allowed surrender to the source to clear out your basically system, and you basically awaken to this power within. That's when we actually start creating on a large mass global scale, in that sense. That's when the possibility of closing all of the slaughterhouses, it's not an impossible goal, in that sense, just like the building heaven on earth. When we connect with the source, everything is possible. Everything is possible. I'm telling you, we're going to do some major great things. Right now, it's just the beginning of the journey. Right now, it's kind of projections, just went through major healing process, in that sense, right? Of 3 years, a healing process. So now I feel that we are at a good starting point. Okay, guys. So I think, yeah, I think this is it for now. It's been 1 hour and 15 minutes. I'm going to post this video to the ancient soul and see. Okay, my darlings. I wish you all the best. Okay, so start connecting with the source, start establishing this direct connection, right? Start surrendering to this infinite consciousness. And how to surrender to the infinite consciousness unconditionally? Only when we don't limit it, it's going to actually bring us to unimaginable places, right? But how we not limited, we basically surrender to it unconditionally as well. So it doesn't matter what happens in our life, we're still surrendered. That's what I did a few years back when during my prayer, I think I surrendered unconditionally to the source, and source brought me through like a very interesting journey in that sense, and brought me through a lot of illusions in that sense, but it's for my highest and best, that through going through those illusory constructs, that I could learn, that I could actually understand how energy works, that I could understand how communication with the non-physical reality works, how basically the consciousness operates in that sense. So I was brought through those illusions in that sense to just later to drop them off completely and be born anew, and a new level of consciousness and a new level of awareness with expanded sense of creativity. So right now I don't know what we're going to create, but again, my dream has updated, and my dream is to close off all of the slaughterhouses in the world. Some of you may actually laugh at this right now, but it's okay. It's okay. I have the right, like each one of us, to dream the big dreams, dream the big dreams, right? Especially when we are in direct connection with the source. Nothing is impossible, guys, I'm telling you. So everything is possible when we connect with the source. So surrender fully, surrender unconditionally, and see what is going to start happening within your life. It might not, nothing might be happening within your life in the next 3, 4, 5 months or whatnot, but then just watch the reality, how it's going to actually start responding to you. Because again, manifestations take time to materialize in the physical reality. So it takes time for any of our intent, for any of our projection to basically manifest within our reality. Okay, so what else? Okay, it shows me on the key. Yeah, and this is the key to happiness. This is the key to abundance. This is the key to everything that unimaginable that we dream and not dream, in that sense, right? So when we dream on the lower level of consciousness, even though it gives us some hints of our kind of maybe purpose in that sense, it depends, right? But in majority of cases on the lower level of consciousness, our dreams, they're limiting our potential in that sense. So that's why it's nice to start dreaming, right? It's nice to start dreaming, to actually remember, to awaken to the fact that dreams come true and nothing is impossible with the infinite consciousness, infinite intelligence. So I'm not quite sure what creations are going to start coming out of the through me, but I'm telling you, it's not going to be small. It might, like on the beginning, they might seem small, but they're not going to be small. I promise you. Now we're just planting the seeds, basically, right? And seeds require some time to be nurtured and to nurture them as well, right? And to grow into a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful tree. So it requires some time. It's a process. And infinite consciousness, it's a process of not instant gratification like we used to hear in the society with the credit cards, with the things that we cannot afford. Many of us are being stuck in debt, right? Same thing with me. I have some debt, right, on my credit cards because I have been out of work for 2.5 years. So I have some debt on my own. Again, I'm not perfect, guys. I'm going through this way like a normal regular person in that sense, right? I had my unconscious ways. I used to drink. I used to smoke. I bought the car with the leather. I used to buy leather shoes. I used to eat meat. I bought a car with the leather interior, right? So we basically, as long as we're awakened and as long as we're shifting through those illusory constructs, we are growing. And again, remember that we are loved unconditionally, right? And we are never judged for our actions because whatever, by our actions, we create our reality. By our projections, we create our reality. So it is all up to us, right? Infinite consciousness was telling me, well, I wish, you didn't suffer that much in that sense, but look, Alicia, you created it yourself, right? You've done some things that now result in this type of suffering or pain, or that's what happens. But it's always supports, always supports us, always loves us unconditionally. So never, I would say, you can believe whatever you believe, right? But there are many illusory constructs that tell us that this God is cruel, this God loves bloodshed, this God loves sacrifice. No, absolutely not, because unconditional love would never support a murder, would never support I would say, a crime, would never support a torture, would never support a slaughter of the innocent living beings, because the love is life. The love is life, and life is priceless, right? You cannot put the price tag on life. Life is the highest form of, I would say, of our existence in that sense. It takes so much. It takes infinite amounts of ancestors since the beginning of times, right? As we said, the infinite, I would say, ancestors. It takes infinite ancestors for us to create one of us right now, right here at the present moment. So guess what? Our life is so precious. What if you're the only, I would say, what if you're the only, I would say, now present person from all those ancestors, and let's say you are, I don't know, you just don't have the kids yet, you don't have the family, and let's say your life ends. How tragic it is, how tragic it is. The whole infinite line of ancestry, basically, which is manifested right now within your physical vessel, right? It's eliminated, it's completely gone, and it's perished in that sense, right? Even though soul is eternal in that sense, but the body, the creation itself, the combination of the source and the physical vessel, it's priceless, guys. It is, because each living being, it's a manifestation of the infinite consciousness within this earth. So when we are depriving this earth of the living beings, since the living being within itself, it's unconditional love that is manifested within this physical form, we're depriving this earth of that unconditional love. One less of the manifestation of this unconditional love in that sense, right? So we are depriving ourselves from the experience of that love through that vessel in that sense, right? Anyway. Yeah, it shows me on the palm tree right now. I have a palm tree. So it shows me the palm tree. Anyway, what else? Anyway. Okay, guys. I think we're at a good point right now. I feel very, very calm. I think I got everything out for now. For now, this is just the beginning. So we're on this journey, and it's going to get really, really, really interesting. Very wild, I'll tell you. It's going to be very wild. Oh, okay. Alrighty, guys. I hope this message resonates with you. The information that is given through this video is very, very deep. You know, I just feel the depth of this information. So it might require twice for someone to rewatch and re-listen to this video to really let it sink in into the system. Yes, so that we shift in consciousness, shift in our level of awareness, and we are basically start making conscious choices based on this shift of that awareness. Okay, guys, love and peace, and I will see you later. Mwah.